I want to get started with this story about the $20 billion in weapons going to Israel. So here we are, folks. This just happened recently. The U.S. has approved $20 billion in weapon sales to Israel amid threat of a wider Middle East war. So this is why I continue to go back to following the money, because even though these politicians are telling you, of course, we want a ceasefire. I told you this is double speak. If they really wanted a ceasefire, they would not continue to give Israel weapons. OK, because that's just like me giving you a whole pizza and telling you not to eat the damn thing. Right. So think about that. It goes on here to say, and a lot of people are really, really angered by this. The U.S. has approved $20 billion in arms sales to Israel, including scores of fighter jets and advanced air-to-air missiles. Now, the State Department announced that Tuesday. Congress was notified of the impending sale, which includes more than 50 F-15 fighter jets, advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, or AMRAAMs, 120 tank ammunition, and high explosive mortars and tactical vehicles, and comes at a time of intense concern that Israel may become involved in a wider Middle East war. So that happened. They sent them more weapons. And then that same day, something else happened, because I want to show you cause and effect. The story of this father who significant other just gave birth to twin babies. He was on his way to pick up their birth certificate, only to find out that they were killed. So everyone, I want you to make the connection. We sent the weapons. Those weapons were used to kill more civilians, and though his babies were a part of that. We're talking about kids, babies. Let's get into this video here from CNN. This is heartbreaking. We're starting off with the heavy story first.
How do you console a man whose whole world has been shattered? A man who hours earlier was locked in the warm embrace of his wife and newborn babies, but now cries out in agony, begging to see them one last time. His new horrific reality is too much to bear. His wife and twin babies are dead, killed in an Israeli strike on their apartment in central Gaza, according to hospital officials. Aysal and her brother Asser were just 3 days old.
We're talking about babies who did nothing wrong, just made it into the world. The IDF will have you believe that these babies were Hamas. Did nothing wrong, just arrived here. And just like that, they're gone. We have to make that connection. The cause and effect. Israel is receiving most of the weapons from the United States government. Germany is second after us. The UK has already ceased weapons to Israel. And other countries are starting to join on board with the UK. There's no way to me that you can justify this. And I don't want to hear Hamas is using them as human shields. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Because that's a convenient excuse that Israel gives to continue to kill this. Let me make something very clear here. Do you understand why they're killing the children? Why they're killing babies? Because they want to prevent a future generation. That's what they'll do. They'll go after the kids because they don't want Palestinians to have a future generation. They went after the journalists because they didn't want the real information getting out to the public. They went after the schools because they don't want the children to be educated. They went after the hospitals because they don't want Palestinian people who are injured during this war to be able to receive medical help. Now, you have to be one of the most sick, psycho people to be okay with this. Did nothing wrong, just came into the world.
The Palestinian Ministry of Health says they are among 115 infants born and killed during the war in Gaza. Hours earlier, their mother, Jumana, a pharmacist, was blissfully responding to congratulations and well wishes on Facebook. I feel like it was a miracle. Alhamdulillah, sister. Everything is going well. Jumana, Aysal, and Asr now lie here, in a room consumed with Muhammad's inconsolable grief. These are the birth certificates, he says. While I was getting them, I received a phone call telling me our apartment was targeted and that my wife and children were at Al-Aqsa Hospital. Neighbors are still sifting through the aftermath of that strike. Hospital officials say an Israeli shell hit the building. The Israeli military did not respond to CNN's request for comment.
So, of course, right? Of course, they're not responding to requests for comments. They don't want to respond to things like that. It's U.S. weapons, guys. U.S. weapons. And there's no washing your hands of this. And so these politicians that are telling you, the Biden administration that continues to tell you that we're moving towards a ceasefire, guys, they have been saying that for months. And Israel is the one that doesn't want to have a ceasefire. And if they really wanted a ceasefire, they wouldn't continue to give Israel weapons. You see, as long as they're giving them the weapons, Israel is going to continue to kill those people. And Joe Biden knows this. And Kamala Harris knows this. And all these people, they are playing you. They're all in bed with Israel. And because of the ties to AIPAC, to the Israeli lobby, these politicians are in so deep that there's no way any of them are going to turn back now. Kamala Harris is trying to talk a good game about we're moving towards a ceasefire. I'm open to an arms embargo. She's not open to it. I showed you video footage from not too long ago when Kamala Harris was speaking at an AIPAC convention and said she approved the $32 billion of weapon sales to Israel for the next decade so Israel can defend itself. These people are lying to you. And nobody should believe that there is going to be a permanent ceasefire and self-determination for the Palestinian people and an end to the apartheid as long as the U.S. government is giving them weapons. Israel's economy is falling apart. Israel's economy is collapsing, fam, because of this war. People are fleeing. Have you seen the videos? People are fleeing Israel. They're trying to get the heck up out of there. And now the economy is also starting to crash. Also, they can try to be the supreme people. Also, they can get rid of the Palestinian people. All this over land. Listen to this. I don't think people realize how bad this is. 60,000 businesses to shut down in Israel in 2024.
Let's bring in Leila Hatoum, political economist and editor-in-chief at MENA Uncensored. She joins us live from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Thanks for joining us, Leila. Now, it's expected that 60,000 businesses in Israel will shut down by the end of the year. How is Israel's ongoing war in Gaza affecting its economy, particularly when it comes to local businesses?
Well, from the beginning of this war until May, we had estimated about 80,000 small and medium-time enterprises had already shut down and closed because of the economic and financial impact and the burden that they had faced. Not only basically when it comes to lack of customers, the downturn when it comes to tourism as well, but also the fact that reservists were pulled away from the working market. So the working hand was pulled away towards the reservists, and that impacted those businesses. At one point or another, that also had a negative impact on the budget. We saw the Israeli budget at one point or another showing a deficit of 8.1% in July, and that's the government estimate. Our estimate is in the double digit now. And at the same time, we have the economy basically is down at around 14%. They estimated at 8.1% for the past 12 months, but it's about 14% so far for the past 10 months alone. Remember, we cannot take the numbers from the Israeli government itself. They're trying to basically restrict the data that they show because they don't want to show that they have massive, basically, losses. The first 2 months of the war, if you remember, we had an issue with the Israeli government not issuing any numbers. And then we found out that 1/3 of their economy had been sold. Their economy is about, or their GDP basically is about $480 to $490 billion. 1/3 of that, that's about $162 billion that were lost in the first 2 months of the war. If you want to compare it to COVID, I mean, think about it this way. For the whole year of COVID, they had about 14% downturn. The first few months, it was about 2.2%. When it comes to this war, the first 10 months of this war, you had a downturn of about 12 to 14% alone. So the number is going to increase. And for the past 16 months, the budget deficit has been also basically going down.
Right, very interesting.
So you guys hear this? So she's saying this is going to continue to increase because think about it. Tourism is hit heavily. There are a number of airlines that said they will not fly people to Israel. So there goes tourism. There's that. You have to think about this for a second. So there's that. There's the businesses that have closed. Again, they are willing, Netanyahu and the IDF, they are willing to destroy their own economy just to get the Palestinian people off the land. They are willing to let their entire economy collapse. And you know what will happen, folks? Guess who they're going to come to for help? Guess who they're going to reach out to and say, can you help me? Us. They're going to reach out to the U.S. and say, we need help. You need to help our economy. They're going to reach out to us. And I'll tell you right now, we're going to follow this very closely, because if I see and find out that the U.S. government is giving Israel money to help them with their economy, all hell's going to break loose. Because they always claim they don't have money for us to help us, but they are able to help out Israel. Going completely down the drain.
Layla. Now, what role do international factors such as boycotts and export bans such as Turkey's play in exacerbating the economic challenges Israel is currently facing?
Well, boycott is actually, it works really well when it comes to entities that rely on foreign aid and basically foreign trade, just like the Israeli entity. It needs support from the US and other countries in terms of finance, in terms of military, and in terms of basically trade. To a certain extent, the boycott from Turkey would negatively impact the revenues when it comes to the Israeli entity. But you have to understand one thing. Yes, Turkey had announced its boycott in May, but it didn't effectively come into effect basically until a month and a half afterwards. But we do expect going forward it will have a major impact, especially that Turkey was one of the last few countries that basically does trade or is able to do trade with the Israeli entity, because everything that comes from Asia through the Red Sea has been stopped by the Yemenis.
All right, Layla Hatoum.
Very good point there about the boycotts. You know, Turkey has vowed to boycott Israel's businesses as well, which will have an impact on them as well. Like I told you, this is absolutely insane. The way that this is escalated. And now you have, again, Israel is attacking Hezbollah as well. Now, Iran has not responded to Israel yet. They have not had a retaliatory attack. Don't know if that's coming or not. But they said that Israel should be on alert about that. But the reality is, if Iran launches a retaliatory attack against Israel, I don't think it'll be a small attack. And if there's this back and forth battle between Israel and Iran, Israel will be done. Again, you always have to take it back to the cause and effect. The $20 billion that was just sent to Israel. And now you see the twin babies, the babies that were just born, killed. A lot of times when it comes to foreign policy and destruction in other countries, All roads lead back to the United States government. Crazy times, folks. Crazy, crazy times.